Hi, and welcome to this first video on parenting that I'm doing. I'm Joel Todd. I'm a registered therapeutic counselor based out of Burnaby, British Columbia, Canada. And I'm a parent myself. I love being a parent, and I love to work with parents for many reasons. It's such a rewarding but challenging role to play in a child or many children's lives. And I've really come to believe that one of the best ways to support children is to create as good, as loving, as understanding, as aware environment at home for them that they can. And I'll go into some of the reasons in these videos as to why those things are so important. But for now, please understand that that they are. So obviously, we need to create the basics for our children for survival, right? Shelter, food, physical safety. And I really have come to believe that who we are as parents, beyond, those basic survival things, is the way that we impact them the most. Right? Who we are in the big moments and who we are in the little moments, especially the little moments, right? There are going to be a lot more little moments in our lives, our children's lives, and there are big ones. And they're both important, but if we can make the best of the little moments, that's going to have a huge impact. So, first off, I want to say that being a perfect parent, or even, a perfect parent, some of the time is almost impossible, right? So, I think the trick, and what I've learned as a parent myself, is to accept those imperfections. And depending on how you were raised, your beliefs and everything, that might be a really hard thing to do. So, I want to recognize that. But I think for me, accepting that I wasn't going to be perfect actually helps me be a better parent. And I think I'll do another video on how that works and my experience with that. But I've really come to understand that as truth. So, the way I see both as a therapist and as a parent myself, but our roles as parents are kind of two things. They're being a guardian and being a guide. So the reason that being a guardian, maybe it's obvious, but the reason being a guardian is so important is that we need to protect our children. That's both physically, mentally, emotionally, maybe spiritually, energetically, all of those things. And by protecting them, we actually create a safe place for them to become themselves, to learn about themselves, to grow and expand, to have a place where they can practice and learn to be themselves, to be human beings, to be in relationships, all of these things. And the guide part is that we guide them in these ways. So we guide them in learning how to navigate the world. So we help them learn, and sometimes part of the experience is our own learning, and I'll get to more specifics of that in a minute. But, we help them first and, throughout their lives. But first, we help them navigate the physical or the practical world. Right? When they're babies, we literally move them around. When they become toddlers and start crawling and walking, we're making sure that they're not, injuring themselves, not pulling the bookcase down on them or touching things that might harm them, sharp objects, whatever it is. And we help them navigate. We're protecting them at the same time. And as they get older, then they become emotional as well. Right? Kids are largely physical and emotional until they're age, 7 to 10 usually. And then they become more and more logical, mental. But we help them figure out their emotions. We help them learn how to navigate their internal emotional experiences. And then also how to navigate relationships and the emotions that come through those relationships. Okay? And then there's the mental world. I'm a big advocate for teaching people, and certainly children, how to think. Not necessarily what to think. We can certainly share what we think, but if we can really teach them how to think, then they can explore the world and they can find their own answers. They're not limited to what they've been taught by us, and their teachers, and of course everyone else that's teaching. Right? The other exploration is who they are. I really see our children as these flames, their personalities, their essence, the core of them. And I see our jobs as parents to nurture that, to help them figure out what that is, who they are. And we don't do that by telling them who they are. It's through the experiences we have with them to help them understand and become aware of their own experiences, their own thinking. Being a parent is a tall order, right? It's impossible to do it perfectly. And the trick is to realize and accept that you don't actually have to do it perfectly. It actually works out better in many ways when you don't. Repair with our child or in any relationship actually helps us grow, helps us learn. It's part of the exploration is to come up against conflict, to come up against challenge, and learn how to navigate it while still, taking care of ourselves and considering others, taking care of them as well. One of the greatest gifts that we can give our children is who we are, right? Not enforcing it as to who they should be, but who we are as an example. There's that expression, do as I say, not as I do. And kids learn, they're watching us all the time. They learn through the interactions they have with us, more than what we say. They learn through how we treat them, how we treat others. We're constantly modeling things for our kids. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's probably best that it isn't. I know one of the keys to myself as a parent is, showing my son that it's okay to make mistakes. One key aspect I want to make clear, at least from my perspective as a therapist and as a parent, is that the child-adult relationship is not the same as any other relationship. There are power dynamics. There are dynamics within that relationship that are unlike an adult-to-adult relationship. And there's some similarities, of course, too. And as they get older and become more, as they get closer and closer to the age of being an adult, those dynamics will change. And that's natural and that's healthy. But especially when our kids are young, we can't expect them to treat us in the same way that we kind of expect ourselves or think we should treat them as adults. And they're not going to be able to reason the same way we are, for one. Their brains aren't formed in that way. But they don't have the life experience. I mean, even as adults, we're still learning. We're still learning how to be in relationship with other people. Right? It's a lifelong lesson. We're still learning about our own emotions and how we get triggered and upset happens. And how do we navigate upset? What do we do with anger? What do we do with sadness? We're still figuring it out as adults, but I think often parents expect their kids to be able to navigate it. Saying this, especially as children start to get older, it's important that we let them know the impact they have on us. Right? If they've done something that's really upsetting to us, it's important that we let them know. But it's also important that we do it from a place of being calm and regulated in our nervous system, right? Not when they say something and we get fiery and we feel hurt. In that moment, we're probably not going to be able to communicate it in a way that they're going to be able to take, because our communication is going to come with a lot of energy, a lot of emotion, along with what we're saying. Communication is so much more than just the words that we're saying. To be fair, I think most of us, I know it's true for me as an adult, I'm a lot more emotional than I ever thought, or even that I recognize now. And we think we're logical beings for the most part, but I think that's pretty rare in people. And that's not a bad thing. It's just important to understand. So, the last thing I want to share just before I finish this video is that new information can be really powerful, can help us see things in a new way, give us new perspectives. But without acting on that information, either, changing something within, maybe our own triggers or our own experience with emotion or our own thoughts or beliefs, or action without, nothing changes. Right? Wisdom is embodied knowledge. You have to do something with it. And like I said, who we are as people has the biggest impact on our children. So if we take this new information and we become a little bit different as people, that's going to have a big impact on our kids. Maybe we become a little more understanding, a little less easily triggered. That's going to have a huge impact on our kids. So I hope you'll join me for other videos. I'll be recording more videos, each one on a different topic. And I hope you learned something through this. Please ask questions in the comments, or if there's other topics I can talk about. But my goal is with these videos is to create more understanding of the process of development for kids. That's part of it. I also want to reflect or help shine a light on our role as parents and what we come up against as parents and how that impacts our children, but also impacts our own experience, right? Because it's important that we do focus on our relationship with our kids, but our own lives are just as important. Our kids see how we live life, and we model it for them all the time. And so to live a fulfilling life for ourselves, that's a wonderful example to set for our children. So it's a balance between their needs and our own needs. There's an analogy that often comes up in therapeutic work, personal development work, and it's this oxygen mask idea. We're on the plane and they go through the whole safety spiel and talking about where the emergency exits are and all these things. And then they talk about the oxygen masks. And they always say, when the oxygen mask comes down, you put your mask on first. Because if you're not breathing, you're not going to be able to take care of anyone else, including your children. So we need to take care of ourselves as parents too. Otherwise, we just don't have what we need. We're not going to be able to take care of our kids. So don't forget about yourself. You're worth it.